Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. This is Newcastle Fast FM with your host, Richard Coupland, and today's show at 6 p.m., which means it's the show From Darkness to Light. Alhamdulillah, show that we do every single Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And we've had a number of different guests on so far. Last week it was me sharing my story. Had Brother Alex on, Brother Imran. Yesterday was Brother Sergio. But today I'm joined by a special guest, Brother Kyri. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're right.
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Pretty good.
It's a
Today's
very,
a bit
it's very, it's a very
bit
nice background
easier.
you have there.
Thanks. I went for the darkness to light
I like
effect.
it. Darkness one side and the light coming on the other. But how are you
Indeed.
doing? How's the weather?
Weather's improved, alhamdulillah, although it was quite cold earlier on.
Okay, good.
Ramadan, though, is improving. It's getting more manageable as we get used to it, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, good. So, brothers and sisters, as you can see, we have our sponsors on the screen, so do check out our sponsors. My show particularly is sponsored by Richard McLeod and his various works, so do check out his work. But I'm joined by Kyri. I brought you onto the show today. Um, maybe to tell us a bit about yourself, tell us a bit about your journey, and there's some topics I want to touch upon. But before we begin, tell us a bit about yourself, Kyri. Where are you from? Um, where do you live? What do you do? Take it away.
Yeah, well, originally I'm from London,
The big city
and
of London.
yeah, I was brought up there.
Okay.
And I wasn't a Muslim when I was in London. Um,
Okay.
and I went through life sort of not on the straight and narrow. Like I was always like quite down in the
Mm.
dumps sort of person, you know what I mean? And I was always sort of unsatisfied in life. So when I had an opportunity to move from
Okay.
London, and I
Wh-
immediately took it.
which area in London?
I was in North London actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had that opportunity given to me. I had a choice. You know, you could move or you can stay. So I decided to move because, as I said, I wasn't happy and
Yeah.
all this and that. And so I moved around the country, but eventually ended up in Newcastle.
Okay.
And
Big city.
yeah, just so happened to be like center of the Muslim community in this area.
Yeah.
So yeah, alhamdulillah, that helped a lot
Okay. Good.
with I don't know, I just got used to it quite quickly actually. The Muslim community here because in London it's quite diverse already.
Okay.
Um, I didn't have any like bad sort of thoughts about Muslims really. I didn't really know anything about them when I landed here.
Mm.
Um, but as I saw them around me more, I started to try and learn a bit more about
Okay.
them.
Good. Good. Yeah.
So I looked up a few things here and there, and originally I was Christian actually, but as I
Okay.
read more of the Bible, I found a lot of inconsistencies, things that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I actually left that behind me, but I still held on to like the belief of creator.
In God.
So
Okay. Good.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I started reading into Buddhism actually,
Okay. Wow.
because that was touching on like one creator thing,
Mm.
but it didn't really get my full attention because it didn't make much sense at the same time. But when a friend of mine gave me a link, a YouTube link about the Quran and a miracle, it sort of made me quite intrigued. So I started looking into Quran quotes.
Okay. Nice.
So I
Good.
started reading a bit here and there, and I don't know what happened, but eventually I just had this feeling sort of in my soul that I should learn to pray, and I didn't know why.
Whoa.
So I
Oh
just
wow.
started to learn to pray.
Yeah.
And when I would miss prayers because I was learning, I'd feel bad and I didn't know why. I was like, why am I feeling bad? I don't know anything about this. Do you know what I mean?
That's
So
crazy.
eventually I just gave into it and I started praying. And then the friend said, look, you should go to your local mosque,
Yeah.
see what it's like. And then it went from there. Actually, when I moved here, I didn't have a job
Okay. Wow.
in
You just
London. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't have a job in London either.
Mm,
So I hadn't had a job in a long time actually because of the way I was, I feeling down and all this and that.
mm.
But when I moved here, I don't know, something shifted when I started reading about the Quran. I started doing
Oh,
dua in my prayers for like, please help me to find a job
okay. Well,
so
good.
I can look to create a family, things like this, you
Wow,
know.
mashallah.
Um, and so I just started looking around. I didn't have much luck, but eventually, after a lot of dua, I had a perfect opportunity to apply as a carer. So I did it, and
That's
then
good.
all my duas were answered on that subject, and I got the job quite quickly, actually, alhamdulillah.
That's good.
And ever since then, I've just been working as a carer. It's been about 4 years, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been
Wow,
in Newcastle for about
that's
nine.
a good summary there. So originally, obviously from London, then moved around, moved to Newcastle. I think the area where you live, people who don't know it, is majority like the Muslim area. So I guess you would have seen
Mm,
Muslims everywhere. But I do think that caring is a great job for you. You may not want me to say, but I do feel that you're a very gentle, calm person.
I
So how
appreciate
how have
that.
you
Thanks.
found that you've been doing it for many years now? But how do you find it? Do you find it
Um,
rewarding? Do you find it difficult?
I found it very rewarding and difficult in the beginning.
Hmm.
As time went on, I think, as with anything, it can become like a routine, and then
Yeah,
you
like
forget
normal.
like the
Yeah,
blessings of it completely.
that's
So
true.
I have to keep reminding myself, and keeping Allah on my tongue helps a lot. Like when because I ride around on the bike to going to each people's
Okay.
houses and caring for them. So keeping Allah on the tongue then actually helps a lot to remember what I'm doing. Remember, it's such a blessing. Even to ride on the bike in the morning is an amazing blessing.
Wow.
And going to the people and helping them is something I can't really comprehend, even now after doing it for so long.
Hmm.
I'm not able to fully comprehend what I'm doing and how much I'm helping and the blessing I've got. But I guess that's part of being human,
But
isn't it?
definitely, I say like very lucky to have sort of a role where you can, you're helping people directly, and obviously Islam encourages that hugely. Um,
Yeah.
how has it been with the lockdown for yourself? You still been working? How's it been?
Yeah. Well, I have to work. Being a carer is a part of the key worker group.
You work a group, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been quite regular actually. N Because I was pretty much doing the same thing before the lockdown. The only thing that's changed is not going out to the shops as much.
Yeah, the shops.
So yeah, that's been cut down quite a bit. Had to rely on takeaways for a while, which wasn't very nice. So I'm trying to
Yeah,
switch back.
that's definitely not healthy eating.
Yeah,
So what would you
definitely.
say, if you think about before you became Muslim to now to that you're Muslim now, what would you say that huge is hugely different? You mentioned that maybe you weren't on the right path or you weren't really, I don't know, happy with life. Like, how do you feel about things now?
Um, Now it's like being a completely different person,
Okay.
actually. It's quite strange. Like I can't imagine how I was. I remember it, but I can't imagine it, which is good.
To be honest, it's the same for me. Like I remember some memories and some things that I used to say and do, but it seems like it's like a different person. Like it was never me. But I guess
Yeah,
how I guess that's how Islam changes you and often makes you a better person. I know in my situation, I do feel that Islam did make me a much better person.
yeah, definitely. I didn't know you before,
Yeah, obviously, yeah, no.
actually, but I do understand and I can empathize with that because it was exactly what it was like for me,
Hmm,
what you're describing. Yeah.
definitely. So how are you finding the month of Ramadan? How's it going?
It's going well, although I do miss the mosque, and it's making it more difficult to appreciate the month, I think,
I think definitely. I
because
think
I can't go to the mosque.
often there is that community. You go to the mosque, there's more people there, there's things happening. I
Yeah,
guess one angle it might be easy in the sense of okay, you're at home, so you have more energy. But then I guess it's difficult to stay motivated. If you're just on your
yeah,
own in the
indeed.
house, etc. Can be hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite difficult. Having that community really sort of gives you that push to where you want to be, but you don't always have the, I don't know, maybe courage or just click in your mind to just go into that routine of like just keeping an eye on your tongue and doing your
Definitely.
prayers, your night prayers, and praying at the mosque with the brothers. The community is just really beneficial. So yeah,
100%.
it's missing that is a big impact actually.
Good. One of the things I wanted to touch upon is you visited Morocco a good number of times. How was
Mm.
your what was your experiences going to Morocco? Is obviously majority Muslim country. Had you visited other Muslim countries before that? Maybe Turkey or anything
Um,
like that?
no, I've never. Well, if you count Cyprus as Turkey, but I mean,
Mm,
I visited the southern side, which there's no Muslims there really. Uh,
mm.
so I never really visited a Muslim country
Okay. But how was your
until Morocco.
until Morocco? How was your experiences
Yeah.
there?
I would say it's it was quite eye-opening actually because
Okay.
the way that they've integrated Islam into society,
Mm,
it seems like it's quite a difficult thing to do
okay.
because they've got like a lot of haram around as well. Um, just like music, for example.
Mm.
There's like a massive musical concert going on in the middle of like
Okay.
the
I've
street.
never been to Morocco, so I don't know the situation. But okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like for example, they've got a lot of culture that's been attached to the country
Mm.
that unfortunately goes along with the Islam over there. So
I
it
think
was
often
very
in many
interesting.
Muslim countries you do have obviously the religion, so you may see mosques and things like that, but there is also they have their own cultures as well, which necessarily don't match with what Islam teaches. And I think with Morocco as well, I
Mm.
think obviously there's a lot of Islam there. There's maybe mosques and scholars, but it's a very I think a very free country in the sense of like you're
Yeah,
saying, you know, open concerts. I don't know if you can buy alcohol there, things like that. Maybe seem more open than maybe
yeah.
in other Muslim
Unfortunately, you
countries.
can. Yeah, you can buy wine, I believe, yeah, especially in Marrakesh,
Mm.
which is full of tourists. So you can unfortunately buy
So what were
alcohol
some
there. Yeah.
positives about the country? What did you enjoy like the scenery? Were the people friendly? How was your like what was positive?
Well,
Would you say?
actually, I would say probably 80% of the trip was positive.
Okay, good.
I just thought I'd point out the things that were quite interesting. I mean, obviously they were
No, I think
negative,
maybe
but
from your perspective, you were thinking, okay, I'm gonna go to Morocco, Muslim country. Maybe you were expecting to see everything Islamic. I think that's what you were saying, but you went there and maybe
yeah,
saw some things that
exactly.
weren't, and you were maybe took aback by that.
Yeah, I think as you said, the scenery was lovely because there's a lot of nature there,
Hmm.
and the weather's hot. The air's quite clear compared to England as well because there's
And
not as
you can you
many.
handle hot countries?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
I
good.
mean, I'm Greek, so
Oh,
my
yeah,
family's
we
from
didn't mention that.
Cyprus. Yeah, yeah. So, alhamdulillah, I can handle it. I do enjoy it quite a lot, actually. Um, Morocco was just really it was sort of like it's my cat, sorry about
I was
that.
gonna say.
Sort of like eye-opening dream, I suppose, because I never expected to have the chance to even travel there in my life because the way I was living when I was back in London was completely different. Even in Newcastle before I found Islam. It
Hmm.
was completely different. I wouldn't travel anywhere. I wouldn't consider taking big risks like that. Um, but when I got there, it's just felt like it was meant to be,
Okay,
sort of
wow.
thing. And I really appreciated the nature, and I went on a lot of walks. Actually, I met my wife over there as well.
Oh, mashallah,
Alhamdulillah.
good.
Yeah.
So how was that? I guess marrying into maybe a different culture, different language. How was that?
Um, it felt quite natural, actually. I
Okay.
think that's because I'm Greek, and
Yeah, I was saying
I've
maybe because
been,
you are Greek, Mediterranean.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it felt quite natural, but at the same time, it was quite surprising because of the cultural sort of differences between England and Morocco. Um, but it was quite amazing as well. Like
Okay.
there's a lot to learn about the culture and the people, and
So what are some key things that you noticed
I noticed
that were different?
the souk, which is the shops.
Yeah.
The way they sell things is sort of like you're walking down the street and you're just presented with like everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think there's much. I think it's much different. I've had people like go and they see someone maybe from a Western country and immediately start selling them things on the street. You're just
yeah,
saying no, thank you, no, thank you.
yeah, but it's just like beautifully sort of presented in the
Okay.
way the shops are very close together, and like you could go in one shop and then there's just sort of a plethora of different things,
Mm.
and you don't get that in England as far as I've seen. It's quite different actually. It's hard to describe. I think you'd have to experience it.
Yeah, inshallah, one day Morocco is on the map to go to. I think definitely. Which area did you visit? Did you visit a few different places or?
Yeah, I visited quite a few Marrakesh, Tangier, Tamara, Essaouira. Traveled
Wow.
around quite a bit because obviously I got married there. So then I
Yeah.
went on the honeymoon traveling. Quite a few places. Can't remember all of them on the
Okay,
spot.
good. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just trying to write down some places for me to go to possibly. But
Yeah,
I
I'll
think
have
you
to send you a
mentioned
list.
obviously when you moved from London to Newcastle, what changed for you? Do you think it was the environment that maybe changed, or do you think it was with age? What
Um,
what what do you think changed? You know, you mentioned in London, was it environment? Was it with age? Was it being around Muslims? What do you think triggered the change?
hmm, it's interesting. I think it was just purely Allah that triggered the change
I'm sure
because
that's a good answer.
yeah, because I was put in the middle of the Muslim community. Just, I mean, that wasn't chance.
Hmm.
And then, I was put in a great position. I was given a job quite quickly after I found Islam.
Okay, I'm sure that's good.
So, I think that's the key, definitely.
How have you found trying to learn um, maybe some of the basics after becoming Muslim? Was it difficult, or did you how have you found it?
It felt quite natural, actually. At the same time, it's quite overwhelming,
Hmm.
especially when certain people sort of throw a lot of things on you at once,
A
and
lot of
then you're like,
information.
it kind of puts you off as well.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think I read somewhere that you shouldn't do that to people.
I
But
think yeah, I think it's a
we're all
balance.
human, aren't we?
You don't want
So
to scare people away. And maybe
yeah,
myself or other brothers, maybe we were very passionate to maybe help and teach you. Maybe we, if you put some, like you tell someone too much or you put so much pressure upon them, it can often push them away. I agree.
yeah. But you have to remember we're all human, and I think 99% of the time the brothers are doing it with goodness in their heart.
Yeah,
You
I
know what
think
I mean?
obviously it's a
They
good
don't, they're not
intention.
trying
It's
to
not.
overwhelm you. Yeah. So that's important to remember.
So one thing I want to touch upon is, you've started, well, you attended and you become part of coming to the Saturday stall at the Islamic Diversity Centre.
Hmm.
How has that been? Your experiences going along? Have you had any conversations or you just observed? How was it?
I had quite a few conversations. It was quite nice, actually. I just sort of did a dua and then handed some leaflets out, hoping that it would benefit people.
Mm.
Try not to be too pushy with leaflets because
Yeah, people
you know
get
how it is
angry.
when you're walking past and if
Yeah,
someone shoves a leaflet in your face, you're not
yeah,
interested then, are you?
that's true.
I had, yeah, a few conversations, as I said, some interesting ones. You get a lot of people who they're actually genuinely interested, and those are the ones that want to talk.
Yeah.
The other ones tend to just want to argue, and in my opinion, they're not worth speaking to if they're just going to sort of argue
No, you
for
do get
like
some people
an
that are,
hour.
they already have a goal. They're not interested. They just want to discuss and debate. It's not going to
Exactly,
be
yeah.
productive. Whereas some people are, I guess, sincere and interested.
Yeah, actually, a few people were quite angry as well. They would just say a
Oh,
few angry words and walk off. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite a lot of difference at the stall. Quite a lot of different people, quite a lot of different encounters, and a lot of experience as well. There's quite a few lessons to learn just being there, handing leaflets out, talking to people, hanging around with the brothers as well.
Good. So you mentioned obviously your family is from Cyprus. So you are,
Yeah.
I guess, are there any particular cultures or anything that is people know about Cyprus?
The main religious culture
Hmm.
would be Greek Orthodox. So they'd
Yeah.
be Christians, they'd be brought up as Christians.
All Greek
Other
Orthodox.
cultures, just the norm really of like going to an island and they've got their own sort of unique culture.
Hmm.
Um, because where I'm from is by like the beach, so on the shoreline, there's a lot of fish restaurants,
Okay.
speedboats, and people enjoying the beach. Yeah. Unfortunately, you've got a lot of chain restaurants there, like certain ones I won't mention because I won't advertise them.
That's true. But I was
Yeah,
just
they just
interested.
crop up.
Cyprus is, I think, is one place to definitely visit. Is there anything unique about Cyprus? For example, when I went to Malta, they were mentioning, the different islands, scuba diving. What sort of activities are there to do in Cyprus for a tourist?
Cyprus, I guess, would be unfortunately be the clubs would be the main attraction.
Okay.
Yeah, but obviously I wouldn't go
Yeah,
near
yeah.
that. I wouldn't really know about what there is to do apart from the beach,
Okay, nice.
because what I would do is I would go and visit family,
Yeah,
and then they would take me to the beach or something, or we'd go to a restaurant or eat at their house, things like that. Um, so from what I've seen, there's a lot of fun in renting like boats
okay,
or
well.
jet skis, things like that, because the weather's so nice and the sea's really clear
Okay, good.
and it's really beautiful out there. There's a lot of mountains actually, and people would climb up and jump off the mountains into the sea. That's quite
Yeah,
fun as well.
I can imagine it's fun, maybe dangerous, but looks quite fun.
Yeah, as long as you're very careful, it's not too bad.
So, Kiri, is there any maybe any specific Ramadan advice you would give to the listeners?
Uh,
Put you on the spot.
Specific.
It could be
When you say
general. It
specific,
could be
yeah,
general. It can be specific. It can be anything that you would advise to people in the Ramadan how to benefit.
I think I would definitely, now I've had a few seconds to think about, I would definitely say the first thing would be to prepare for Ramadan. Don't just sort of let it hit you, because then it's difficult to adjust
Definitely, I agree.
to the each day, because each day of Ramadan is like a massive blessing. There's no shaitan, firstly. I mean, that's amazing. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, so
I think that's
definitely
good. I think many of
prepare,
us
yeah.
we don't plan, we don't prepare, and we just start thinking, okay, first day I'm going to suddenly do all this stuff. But I think the
Hmm,
reality is it can be difficult to transition from
definitely.
fasting and trying to do things. That's why the Prophet peace upon him he would in the month of Sha'ban he would start fasting, he would start preparing. So when Ramadan came, he was ready to go. So I think that's definitely beautiful advice.
Yeah, I think I need to take my own advice and prepare as
Now,
well.
myself as well, I think I always think about I'll do it every single year, but then suddenly Ramadan comes and maybe we're not as prepared as we should be.
Yeah, exactly. I think that should be something that everyone remembers, and I think it would benefit a lot of people, inshallah, just to
Inshallah.
prepare. Even if it's a little bit, it's still going to have a massive impact.
So one thing that I know you specifically for, Kiri, is always questioning my food choices. Is there any
Yeah.
advice you would give to the listeners? In Ramadan, what sort of things you would recommend that they should be eating
Um,
for iftar and suhoor?
Recommendations, well, obviously the best recommendations are sunnah, so that would be dates
Okay, good
and
date, yeah.
water. I believe it's water because in the Ramadan package that you sent out, it said
Yeah.
dates and water, but I always thought it was dates and milk for some reason.
No, for the narration I know it says the Prophet peace be upon him said that you should have dates first, and if you don't have dates, then have water. So yeah, it's date and water.
Okay.
But milk, I guess milk. The Prophet used to drink milk, so milk is something good as well.
Yeah, I think that's why I thought it was milk because I remember reading a hadith about Prophet ﷺ drinking milk with dates specifically. But other than that, I would just say uh, beans are good.
Okay,
Be
beans,
beans, you get your
high
fiber.
fiber, high energy.
Yeah, and then some protein, a bit of chicken, and then have some salad on the side. That should
So
help you
we're
a
in
lot.
lockdown. So
Yogurt.
we'll have pizza and co, yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it
They are a
unless you want to feel
sponsor, so we,
ill.
we would recommend that. But but yeah, healthy eating. I think, as you said, it's all about dates, fruits. I know watermelon. A lot of people have, and I think high energy foods. Oats,
Yeah,
porridge is often quite a good one. But I think
yeah,
fizzy
definitely.
drinks, takeaway things like that is not good.
No,
And I
it's
think I
not.
think people
It's not
will
toyib, is it? It's not. It's not goodness.
yeah, yeah, I think people
As
will feel the effects as well. They'll feel tired and
especially in Ramadan, like you don't want to be eating a pizza for suhoor, do you? For example,
no.
it's just not good for you. You're not gonna feel good for the rest of the day. And as I said, it's not toyib. Sorry about the light there. It's just
Oh man,
shifting.
no
It's getting
worries.
close to Maghrib.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, Brother Kyri, is anything you maybe wanna anything else you wanna share about maybe your journey or anything in particular?
Um,
Anything we missed?
there's a lot to go through, I would say. But I suppose it's about what you specifically would like to ask. Otherwise, I could just, I suppose, talk about what it's like to sort of get to know people in the area as you becoming a Muslim in this area, because that can be quite challenging because you'd have to go outside quite a lot and meet a lot of new people all the
Yeah,
time to continue to be involved in the community. And it's not always easy to do that.
definitely I agree.
So,
Like I'm thinking like if I became Muslim now, I'm much older in job and responsibilities, to trying to to go out and meet as much people as when I did when I was younger. I think it would be difficult, like you're saying.
yeah,
Um,
it is
it's important,
definitely.
obviously, to meet people, try and build friends, build community, but it might be difficult, like with people's schedules and a lot. So for you, how was it? How was it trying to get involved with the Muslim community? How was your experiences?
Um,
Did you feel
Quite
like you just had
difficult
to
actually.
push yourself, or
Yeah, definitely had to force myself to go to the mosque for the first time.
yeah?
I remember the first time I went to the mosque actually. It was I think they were having a lesson for the kids,
Okay.
and I was too afraid to go in.
Oh, you just saw them and then
Yeah,
yeah,
and
because
then
they
I
have
went
like
away.
the school, the kids' school, the madrasa, and
Yeah,
you
I didn't
went
want to
there and then you
interrupt them.
left.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to interrupt them, so I left. But other than that, the transition of getting to know people and getting ingrained in the community, it's been quite difficult actually. I'd say at the beginning it's easier because people tend to embrace you when you're new,
That's
but
true.
as they get to know you more, they don't sort of invite you out as much.
No, I
So
think
then you have to put the effort in yourself then, which
no,
is
I think
understandable.
it's understandable, but I think it is something that I think I experienced. I think most reverts experiences. When I became Muslim, it was very people were happy and celebrations. Come here, come here, come here.
Mm,
But then I guess as I was no longer new, I mean, it'd been months. The invites become less and less, and I did have to force myself. To be honest, it sounds quite bad, but force myself to go to try and meet people, try and message people more. Because I think sadly people we do need to make more effort. I think with new Muslims and converts, and I think in general, I think the whole way society goes today is very people spend less time with one another. I think people are more locked into their phones, locked into watching TV shows.
yeah, it's designed like that, isn't it? Unfortunately, alienated from communities because of society. Yeah, as you're saying. I think that when you become a Muslim in this area, as you said, there's that point when you're a new Muslim and you get a lot of invites and stuff. But I think even after that point, just because you're not getting invites, if you've really got sort of Allah in your heart, you're not going to give up your prayers and things like that. You're not going to move away from Islam.
Definitely.
So it's not that bad in the end because it should be up to us to
And I think
reach out to
I think it's a
people,
good
shouldn't it?
point that even if the invites stop or even if the community stops, that doesn't mean that Allah is no longer there. Like you still have that
Mm,
connection with Allah, and you should still continue doing as much as you can. So I think it's a
yeah,
good point
you shouldn't
because
give up.
yeah,
Yeah,
you don't want to become reliant on other people. It's best to
yeah,
try to be independent.
yeah. Just sorting out the light there. The light is changing. It's getting darker slowly. So
So how long do you think it took you? Did it took you like a good few months to feel comfortable going to the mosque and interacting with people, or was it very quick?
if I remember, it was sort of a rush actually
Mm,
because I really wanted to get involved in the community and inshallah look for marriage as well.
yeah,
So that was kind of like a lot of motivation for me to do something that felt right and felt like it was my path in a way after I'd begun to pray. Like, and I'd perfected the prayer at least as much as I could by myself,
good.
following like videos and making
Yeah.
notes. So yeah, alhamdulillah, it's definitely been a journey, and
Mm,
I would say it's been quite difficult. I wouldn't say it was so easy as you were asking before.
okay.
I would say there's quite a few challenges along the way. And people shouldn't give up, as we were also saying, because when you give up, you sort of you're moving away from Allah, aren't you? In a way, you're
Definitely.
pushing him away yourself.
What advice would, if you think back to yourself in those early days, what sort of advice would you give yourself back then?
In the early days in here
Or,
or
or of
in London,
In Newcastle, of maybe
in
just
the
becoming
early days.
Muslim or
I've actually thought about that before, actually, Richard. I've thought about how I could have given myself advice and what I should have done and what I didn't do.
mm,
Like I was quite naive, I think, when I heard about Islam or hijab, things like that.
okay,
I
yeah,
used to think it was like ridiculous. Like, why are they doing that? It doesn't make sense. But then I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
want to learn about it. So I was quite naive and stubborn as well. So I suppose I wished I would have just stopped for a moment and read something or perhaps had a calm conversation with someone and learnt a bit more about it before jumping to conclusions or just being quite stubborn.
good. I think that's a good advice that people maybe take some time to really understand what's being taught, understand that maybe that someone's culture is important rather than jumping to conclusions or being uneducated on the issue.
Yeah, exactly. Education is quite key, and reading is very important in life, just in general, I think. If you don't read, then you're not gonna know much. You're gonna assume things, and you're gonna be led down the wrong path, aren't you?
Definitely. Any other advice you would give, or you would give to other people that are new to Islam, or maybe newly
Um,
practicing?
I suppose newly practicing, just one thing sort of comes to mind. The most important thing is guard your prayers. Don't start missing your prayers and just, it's the most important thing. If you
Definitely.
lose that, then you just go off the path completely.
100%. Because I think when you're guiding those prayers and you're having to plan your day around it, it's going to stop you maybe from doing things you shouldn't be doing, and it's going to be that constant reminder throughout the day. But I think, like you
Yeah,
said, once the prayers go, then it's a very slippery slope for just everything else to just go. But if you try and guard
yeah,
it, try your best to stick to it, I think people will see the change.
yeah. I think it's important to remember that you're not alone in the community. If you're struggling like that, like you're saying,
Yeah,
like if you're even thinking about missing your prayer or you've actually missed it, just remember that you're in a community and naturally the community want to help you. You just need to reach out, as we
Yeah,
were saying
I
before.
think that's it. Yeah, reaching out. 100%.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Kyri, it's been great having you on the show. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want to touch upon? Or
No, just it's been a pleasure. I appreciate the invite. Thanks a lot, Richard. And it's been nice to be back on Fast FM, actually. It's been a while. I
when
remember
was
last time,
last year?
yeah.
Was it last year or the year before?
No, it was the year before, I believe, yeah. Yeah, it was the year before, and it was in the studio
Yeah. So obviously he was in
on
the
the,
studio in
yeah, it
the
was the
West
other
Yard,
location, yeah,
but this year is
the
a
other
bit different
location.
due to the lockdown. But
Yeah,
no,
indeed.
thank you, Kyri, for coming on. Thank you for sharing us a bit about your story, bit about your journey and your experiences. Um, in Morocco and different places. But
No
to
problem.
listeners, I'll be back on tomorrow at 6 o'clock until 7 o'clock with a new topic tomorrow. And on Thursday, I'm going to be joined by Brother Kin, who is originally from Hong Kong but is also a convert to Islam. And on Thursday at 6 o'clock, he's going to be sharing his story. So inshallah, do tune in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum, Kiri.
Walaikum salam, brother.